Here it is, 5 ancient medicinal practices that were terrible in their era. Known since ancient times, the practice of ancient medical treatment at that time had its own and unique place among the people at that time. The people at that time also believed that doctors or shamans at that time had very powerful magic powers to cure all kinds of diseases at that time. However, at that time, there were several medicinal practices for healing diseases in ancient times, sometimes sounding unreasonable and very terrible. As a medical practice, we will explain some of this. 1. Drilling into the human skull. Headaches, migraines, or epilepsy, and other mental disorders in ancient times were known to be cured in a very extreme way, drilling or making holes in the human skull. This practice itself is called trepanning. This is a very old surgical operation. Evidence of this is also known to have been found in human remains from the Neolithic era at that time. And this method is known to be very popular in the era of ancient American civilization at that time, as well as during the Renaissance itself. 2. Using deadly snake venom and highly toxic plants. Known in ancient times at that time, before the existence of antibiotics which are now easily available everywhere, at that time the ancient people used to try to fight the symptoms of infection by means of medication, with poisonous plants and snake venom at that time. In ancient Egypt itself, humans at that time only used drugs, namely cannabis, opium, and henbane in ancient times. And in the Middle Ages, it was different for doctors to add medicinal herbs, namely, dried venom of snakes and scorpions to their concoctions to make the medicinal effects work faster. 3. Removing blood from the human body. This practice is called bloodletting, which is bleeding on the human body at that time. It was very popular at that time in India, and other countries in the Middle East at that time. It was even heard that there were documents from ancient Greece and Egypt at that time. It was believed at that time that human blood itself contains evil, and must be immediately removed from the human body to cure the patient. And in medieval times, barbers at that time practiced this method of treatment. This is known to be popular until the 19th century at that time. In fact, a man named George Washington, who at that time had tonsillitis and was cured in this way. Although it is known that he eventually died from the treatment. Four. Blowing tobacco smoke through the back of the human rectum. Digestive ailments, drowsiness, cramps in the stomach, and the presence of parasites, all of which used to be treated by means called enemas or tobacco smoke. This method of treatment is known to have been adopted from North American Indians at that time. At that time, patients who had complaints of this disease would exhale tobacco smoke through a tube in the rectum at that time. And until the 19th century, people at that time just found out that tobacco smoke contains nicotine, which is toxic, and it is known that this practice had been abandoned at that time. 5. Treatment of holy water to the human body. Known at the time of Hippocrates as 460 to 370 BC, people at that time believed that epilepsy itself was caused by God's will. Man himself is sure that the reason for the disease is the wind, the cold, and the sunshine. And in medieval times, people affected with epilepsy were believed to have been possessed by demons. And therefore, they themselves must be treated with these prayers in holy water. Thank you guys for watching this video to the end, and see you in the next more interesting video.